started studying, you'll be thinking why I'm asking this. When I called you last days, I did not find any child who had finished studying all the topics which I had covered. Very disappointing it was. Even the children who were systematic during the school days last year are also gone back in their work. I don't know why. Writing work, somehow we are managing to complete. But that alone will not help you to score marks. You have to do the works, you have to read the lesson. Many of you had not read the chapter. Though I am telling you to read the chapter every day when I take the class, but many of you are not doing it. I expect all my 9th standard students to become more serious, to concentrate more in studies. Many of you I found getting up at 10 o'clock, 10:30 all. But they truthfully admitted that they are doing so. But becoming truthful and telling that you have woke up at 10 o'clock, 10:30, I don't think it is good. Please see that you wake up early in the morning and complete all the work. And many of you have told me, Miss, I only wrote, I didn't complete the studying work, I will do it later. That is not the answer which I expect from you. Please be systematic. Please learn the portions. There is no compromise for that. Last week also I had told you, diagrams should be labeled, but many of you have kept the same notebooks, the same condition. When we tell something, please take it in the right sense and do it. You have to take down notes. When I took the class, I had told you certain things are given on the slide. You have to copy the same notebooks, but many of you did not. Please take it serious. So for the pre-midterm exam, your portions will be, I will include the first chapter, but oral test I will be conducting, I will be calling you, and you will have to tell me the answers from the second chapter also. Okay, portions will be given to you. So please be thorough with the 2 chapters which we have already completed. That is the fundamental unit of life and tissues chapter. Today, I will be discussing the next 2 topics in why do we fall chapter. So a general topic. After that, we will just revise the 2 chapters. Last class, we had discussed what is health, what is disease, what are different types of diseases. Only the introductory part was taken in the last class. Today also little more about the disease. Diseases are of different types. Some diseases may last for a long period. Some diseases may last only for a short period. The diseases that last for a short period of time, we call it as acute disease. What is it called? Acute disease. The disease that lasts for a long period of time, we call it as chronic disease. Is it clear? The disease that lasts for a short period of time is called as acute disease, and the disease that lasts for a long period of time, we call it as chronic disease. Usually, acute disease, for example, common cold. You may have severe symptoms, but it will last only for few days. For chronic disease, symptoms may be mild, but it may last for a long period of time, and even if the disease is cured, you may not recover it fully, and you will have to control your diet. The person may become very thin, very weak, and it will take a long time for the person to recover his or her health. So, diseases can be classified into 2 types, acute diseases and chronic diseases. Acute diseases will last only for a short period of time, whereas chronic disease lasts for a long period of time. Chronic disease example, jaundice, measles, chickenpox, all these are examples for chronic disease. Acute disease, for example, common cold, very similar one, common to everyone. All of us will have common cold often. Many of us. Now, certain diseases that is caused in our body will spread from an infected person to a healthy person. Whereas some diseases may not spread from an infected person to a healthy person. So based on that, diseases can be classified into two. They are infectious diseases and non-infectious diseases. Certain diseases will be transferred from an infected person to a healthy person, will be spread from an infected person to a healthy person. And usually these infectious diseases are caused by microorganisms, microbes. So all the diseases, most of the diseases caused by microorganisms are infectious diseases, communicable diseases. Infectious diseases are usually communicable. It will be spread from an infected person to a healthy person. And these infectious diseases are caused by microbes. Non-infectious diseases are usually non-communicable. They do not spread from an infected person to a healthy person. For example, cancer, high blood pressure, increase in weight. All these will affect only that particular person. It will not spread from an infected person to a healthy person. Such diseases are called as non-infectious diseases, non-communicable diseases. Next, when a person falls sick, there may be different cause. The cause of the disease may not be the same. For example, in a locality, there is cholera spreading. Many children are affected by cholera. Usually cholera spreads through contaminated food and water. Isn't it? It is a food and waterborne disease, cholera. So in a locality, many children are affected by cholera. What may be the reason? Because they have taken contaminated water in which that microbe, bacteria, cholera causing bacteria, Vibrio cholerae is present. Among the children who are affected, few of them are seriously affected, few of them are mildly affected, few of them dies due to this cholera. Few children died due to cholera. Few are mildly affected. Few are seriously affected, but they recover later. What may be the reason? All the children there are affected by cholera and few children are not affected at all. Few children are not affected. Few have mild attack. Few are seriously affected, but after few days they are able to recover, while few children died due to cholera. But the disease is same, cholera. But why are the children affected in different ways? Yes. First thing, because, yes, the reason may be different. It may be because the child is not healthy. Why is the child not healthy? The reason may be because the child was not given nutritious food item. If nutritious food item is not given to a child, what is the net effect? Immunity power will get affected. Child will not have resistance power. So any microbe can enter to the body and attack. So that may be the reason. The most important of all, these children are affected in different ways because there are variations. Each child is different. Variations are there. Immunity is different in different organisms. Is it clear? All these are the causes of this cholera. Cholera would have come to the child because the child may not be healthy, and the child is not healthy because the child would not have given or would not have got nutrients, proper amount of nutrients. It may be due to family background, poor background of the family. Third, when the child is not taking enough nutritious food item, automatically the immunity power may be less. So these are all the causes for getting cholera. But is all the children, those are not healthy and those who are not having immunity, all will they get disease? No, that is not the main reason for getting cholera. What is the main cause of the cholera? Yes, because the microbe Vibrio cholerae has entered into the body. Hope you understood what I said so far. So for any disease, there are two causes. One is the immediate cause and the second one is the contributory cause. What are the two causes of a disease? Immediate cause and contributory cause. What will be the immediate cause of a disease? Yes, it will be a microbe. In this case, microorganism has entered the body, so the child is infected with cholera. What are the contributory cause? Though the microbe which causes cholera has entered many children's body, but different children were affected in different levels. And that may be due to poor health conditions, less intake of nutritious food item, less immunity power, all that. So all these are the contributory causes. Is it clear? So for any disease, there may be two causes. They are immediate cause and the contributory cause. So immunity power is very important to resist diseases. If we are not having natural immunity, we fall ill often. If we go to doctor, doctors will prescribe antibiotics. Antibiotics are substances prepared by microorganisms which when taken will kill or inhibit the disease causing microorganism. So we can withstand or fight against that disease. Is it clear? So today I am stopping with this and we will keep the remaining time for revising the previous two chapters. I am sure that you would have forgotten everything that I understood when I called you. I already told you. So that should not be repeated again. So now we will revise the first chapter and that I will be revising by showing each cell organelle. So you will be able to recall the things once again. Shall we revise? Okay. We will start from the functional regions of the cell. Functional regions are plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. Next, plasma membrane. It is made up of lipids and proteins. It allows only some materials to pass through and prevents some others. So it is called a selectively permeable membrane. There are two types of transports I said. The passive transport is without energy and it is of two types, diffusion and osmosis. Next, tonicity. If the water has to move inside or out, it depends upon the solute in a solution. Based on this solute in the solution, there are three types of solutions. They are hypotonic, hypertonic and isotonic. Hypotonic solution is dilute solution. Cell put in this solution will swell. Example, raisins put in water. Hypertonic solution, it is a concentrated solution and the cell put in this will shrink. For example, if you put tender mangoes in water, the water from the mango will come out and it will shrink. Next is isotonic solution. In isotonic solution, the concentration of water is same inside and out of the cell. So the cell remains the same. A swollen raisin put in water. Next, about cell wall. Cell wall is a rigid layer made up of cellulose. It provides structural strength to plants, permits cells of plants, bacteria and fungi to withstand dilute external medium. When the cell loses water, there is shrinkage or contraction of the contents of the cell and this is called as plasmolysis. Next, nucleus. Main part of the cell is functional region is the nucleus. Nucleus is surrounded by a double membrane structure called the nuclear membrane. Inside the nucleus, there is jelly-like substance which is called as nucleoplasm or karyolymph. The coiled thread-like structure inside the nucleus is called as chromatin. And there are pores in the nuclear membrane which is called as a nuclear pore, through which the transport of materials takes place inside and outside the nucleus, between the cytoplasm and nucleus. Next, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are organisms whose cells do not have a defined nucleus, and that nucleus is called as nucleoid, and they do not have membrane bound cell organelles. Whereas eukaryotes are organisms which are having cells with a defined nucleus, and they have membrane bound cell organelles. Next we have the cell organelles. Endoplasmic reticulum. I have told you they are network of cisterns, and some of them are smooth, like this. Here you can see smooth endoplasmic reticulum without ribosomes, and here you can see these round structures are ribosomes. They are of endoplasmic reticulum. They extend from the nuclear membrane. This is the nucleus, from the nuclear membrane till the end of the protoplasm, that is up to cell membrane. Next we have, before that, functions of endoplasmic reticulum. There are two types, rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes proteins. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes lipids or fats. And in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the detoxification takes place. And the proteins and lipids synthesized by the endoplasmic reticulum is used for the building up of cell membrane. And this phenomenon is called as membrane biogenesis. Some of the proteins and lipids function as enzymes and hormones. They also serve as a channel for transporting materials between various regions of cytoplasm and nucleus. And this network of endoplasmic reticulum is a place, or it provides a surface for all biochemical reactions in the cell. Next we have Golgi apparatus. It is a complex structure consisting of cisterns, and they have vesicles and vacuoles. The functions of Golgi apparatus, they are membrane bound vesicles, I told you. These material synthesized in near ER is packaged and dispatched to various targets inside and outside the cell. They also store, modify and package of products in vesicles. Simple sugars are converted to complex sugars here in Golgi apparatus, and they also help in the formation of lysosomes. Next we have mitochondria. Mitochondria is a double membrane structure. You can see two pictures here. And this outer membrane, this is the outer membrane. Inner membrane has got many foldings, which is called as cristae. And they have their own DNA, and this is the matrix, inner matrix. Inner matrix has their own DNA and proteins. They can replicate themselves because of the presence of DNA, and they can synthesize their own proteins. Since energy is released here, they are called as the powerhouse of the cell. Energy that is released is in the form of ATP molecules, and ATP is thus so called as energy currency of the cell. Next comes plastics. Plastics are seen only in plant cell. There are three types of plastics: chromoplast, chloroplast and leucoplast. Chromoplasts are colored plastics, are bodies which are having colored pigments other than green. Leucoplasts are colorless, and chloroplasts are bodies having green color pigments called chlorophyll, and they help in photosynthesis. The matrix present in the chloroplast is called as stroma. They also have their own DNA and ribosomes. This is the structure of chloroplast. They are also surrounded by two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane. This is the lamellae. These lamellae are called as, in certain places they are stacked one above the other. You can see one above the other. This is called as grana. And the liquid matrix is called as stroma. They have starch granules, lipid droplets, and the fluid, and they have their own ribosomes. Next comes lysosomes. Lysosomes are actually waste disposal system. They keep the cell clean by digesting all the foreign materials, any new foreign material that enters into the cell, any worn out tissues, non-working cells, etc. So they are called as, how do they digest them? They have powerful digestive enzymes. So they are called as digestive bags. With the help of the digestive enzymes, if the cell itself is not working, they burst and digest itself. And so they are also known as suicide bags. Next comes vacuoles. Vacuoles are the storage sacs. Most of the animals have small sized vacuole. Animals have small sized vacuole and more in number, whereas plant cells have large ones. Vacuoles are full of cell sap and they provide turgidity and rigidity to the cell. And they store main substances like amino acids, sugars, various organic acids and proteins. In single-celled organisms, they store food in food vacuole and they also expel excess water and waste. So with that, we have just got once at a glance we have gone through all the topics that we discussed in this chapter.